What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Hoops Corner. I'm your host, Peter Tran, and on the line, the Iceman himself, no dog pound today. Josh Cohen, how you doing?
I'm officially out for the finals, so things are
Oh,
swell. How are you doing?
I'm all right, man. I got a little tan going on. I spent 3 weeks in Japan, which is why we haven't done this in a while. It was great.
I would say that's
If
a
I could go
pretty
back,
good excuse.
yeah. Oh, the best part is like way better than Europe. The games are on at like 9:30 in the morning. So like I would just like chill, I'd go drinking the night before, wake up, and boom, Lakers Nuggets.
That's
Not bad.
solid. That's better than West Coast time. Like I always talked about, when I retire, I'm going to move to the West Coast just for almost that purpose, really. And then,
Just to watch sports.
maybe I'll just move to Japan instead. Wake up in the morning, have a nice cup of tea, and then watch the West
Yeah,
Coast basketball games. Sounds pretty
you
nice
can
to
do
me.
that. Yo, you do that, and then at night you get to watch like Japanese sports,
There you go.
baseball. Uh, you can go watch a sumo tournament.
Ooh, I've always
I
wanted to
wish
see
I
one
did
of
that.
those.
Same. I saw a couple of sumo wrestlers on like the trains and stuff, and I was like, "Holy shit, you are big, dude."
Did they take up
Yeah.
one car by themselves?
Nah, that would have been cool as shit though. Yeah, Japan's awesome, man. I want to go back.
I
We
definitely
should
want to
plan
go
it.
next time you go, so let me know.
We can go see Rui.
Oh yeah, Raj's boy. You can't bring him up with Raj off the podcast. That just seems cruel.
Oh man, poor Raj can't make it on today. I don't know, something about work I guess gets in the way.
I
How sad.
guess. But Rui was doing that work in the playoffs, and now he's going to be a multi-million dollar man. So good for him.
Yeah, good for Rui. Okay, so last time we left off, it was like mid-second round. Like, I mean, the Nuggets were playing the Suns. I had a conversation with Raj about Devin Booker being like the best two guard in the league at the time after his heaters in Phoenix. We had LeBron and Steph facing off in, I guess, kind of a finals rematch, but in the second round where nobody really cared. Knicks Heat brought us back to the 90s. Celtics 76ers, a series that everyone just wants to forget about because it was pure ass to watch. Uh, am I wrong?
No, you're
It was pretty
100%
rough.
correct. Watching the
You know,
Celtics in general is complete ass to watch because
that was
their play style
terrible.
with the 3-point shooting, like the nonstop
Oh,
threes, and then just them not trying or getting things right on both sides of the ball, which is hard to watch.
it just made no sense whatsoever. Anyways, fast forward a while, you get the Nuggets taking care of business against the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals. Again, you get the Celtics just crumbling under the Heat's pressure, and now we are in the finals as of last week. We had game one where, let's just face it, the Heat got bodied inside. We had poor shooting performances from Miami shooters. I'm talking Duncan Robinson, Max Strus, Gabe Vincent. None of these guys showed up. They're role players. They're not supposed to. We had Aaron Gordon just dominating inside, which then opened up the floor for the beautiful two-man game of Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray. Game two comes around. Totally different story. We see Denver checked out. These guys just like, they basically didn't show up to play for the most part until Jamal Murray suddenly turned it on in the last like 5 minutes of the game. And on the other hand, we had guys like Duncan Robinson cutting to the net and flexing on Denver's inside presence. We had Gabe Vincent hitting what seemed like 43s in a game. I think he had like 6, which is still incredible on the road. And Miami just like ran away with it, right? I mean, that's a pretty quick synopsis of everything. It's broken down quickly. But, we went back to Miami, game 3, series tied 1-1. And one of the biggest like talking points that I constantly heard was just, oh, who's this a bigger game, like, must win for? Dude, it's the finals. Every game is a must win. Can we just like, the narrative is so dumb, man. Does it really matter who's the bigger game, like, must win for it? It's the finals. There's only a few games left. Obviously, both these teams have made it there and want to just finish the job. It's just stupid listening to this. Anyways, so game 3 comes around. We have a Nikola Jokic 30-20-10 game, which is just unheard of since like Wilt. Wilt, right? Like, I'm not exaggerating in this type of like conversation here. We have a Jamal Murray 30-10-10 game. The last 10 was a little shaky, but whatever. He got his numbers. Who cares? And I mean, at this point, I think it's just like a battle of the coaches, right? How they adapt every game. You know what I mean? It wouldn't surprise me if in game 4 comes around and Spo just has some crazy stuff lined up for in a way to slow down Jamal Murray like he did in game 2.
Yeah, for sure. With Denver, it was more so just them getting into their actions quicker in game three. Like you saw, they made it a point when Miami went to their trap zone that they did in game two in the fourth quarter. In this game, when they tried it out early in the game, you could see Jamal Murray make it a point to bring the ball up as quickly as he could. So they had more time on the shot clock. So, I mean, besides the fourth quarter where they tried to just play prevent offense. But early in the game, when they were doing that, he brought the ball up. They got the ball up to, the 3 point line by 16 on the clock. So that way, if their first action didn't work, they could move into the second and third actions. Everything was just much quicker for Denver overall. And then obviously with Christian Brown coming in and making a big impact, um, the way that Denver sort of switched up where Jokic was on the floor against the zone too, like he was basically on the right baseline instead of at the top of the key, which I think was a pretty key adjustment. So that way, when he got the ball on the right baseline, if somebody cut in the middle of the floor, they were essentially going to be wide open when he got double teamed. So I thought that was a pretty smart adjustment. And I think Jimmy Butler just got tired in the second half as well. Because, when you're being taxed with guarding all these players as well as being the number one guy, and now you're guarding a point guard who's maybe one of the best scorers in the NBA now, and Jamal Murray, it's very difficult to have that much energy to be able to put up points and be the team leader in the fourth quarter.
That's why we see James Harden just chilling on defense all the time, right? It's hard carrying an offensive load.
Yeah, I mean, he just doesn't guard anybody ever, so maybe that's the solution.
Yeah, I mean, in game two, that was like the big adjustment, right? Instead of having Caleb Martin in, they had Kevin Love in to start the game. And that in turn let Jimmy Butler just lock down Jamal Murray in the first half, right? Like you play with the matchups a bit and then, yeah, that was it. But then once game three came around, it's sort of just, there's only so much he can do, right? Between him and Bam sort of carrying the offense and the defensive load, to be honest, if your shooters aren't hitting, and that's sort of what Miami has based their whole series on, season, playoffs on. I mean, if they're not hitting, then the team is kind of screwed either way. There's no real way around a team that relies so much on threes that, if Duncan Robinson and Gabe Vincent aren't hitting their shots, and kind of boned. Vincent had like 3 fouls in the first half alone already. Some of them ticky tack, fine, but it happened, right? You got to play through what the refs call, and yeah, I mean, it's tough. I don't know. I don't know how else I don't know how Miami's offense can really work around it if their shooters aren't hitting shots. You can do all these defensive adjustments. You can try to slow down Murray. You can make Jokic a scorer instead of a passer or whatever, Spo wants to break it down to. But realistically, if you're not going to hit shots, you're not going to hit shots. That's the end of the game.
Yeah, and that whole narrative was nonsense anyway. Like Denver had a fantastic offensive rating in game two, despite them looking a bit frantic in the fourth quarter, I guess you could say. Jokic had 41 points, and I think they had like 123 offensive rating, which would have been like the best in the NBA. If you're going to factor that in, obviously, against teams that play 82 games, but that doesn't matter, obviously. The point is they had really good offense that game. They lost because they kept screwing up switches on the perimeter. And I think there was like 6 to 8 of them where Miami ran those little split cuts where Bam has the ball at the top of the key. And then you have Duncan Robinson and Vincent screening for each other. And in the fourth quarter, Robinson would curl off the ball. And, when he curls off the ball, it's like a 5 alarm fire where 2 guys often go to him. And then he jumps the ball off the Bam, and then Bam plays 4-on-3. And in that game, they just kept screwing up the initial switch where Duncan Robinson would come around the screen. And there was 2 times in a row where Bruce Brown just wasn't paying attention, or they're just lack communication. And Robinson got a layup on one, and the other one, I think he hit a three. And then Jamal Murray was like, nobody even talks about this. Jamal Murray's been an absolute sieve in the playoffs, or in the finals anyway. I think he was better in the Western Conference Finals, but he was horrible on defense that game. And I think it was just because of lack of energy, to be honest, because you could see like with his closeout on Robinson, was just lazy. When Robinson got that and one in the corner. And then he flew by him just before that. That was the first three that Robinson hit that opened up the doors for Miami to actually win that game. So, you can't really blame Murray in that case, I guess, because he plays 44 minutes a game and it's a tough job and everything. But, I think the biggest difference defensively in this game was I think Miami shot 43% on twos, if I'm not mistaken, and then 37% at the rim or inside the paint area.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's really impressive, obviously, from the Denver side of things. And then obviously they're cutting off the 3-point line. Like they weren't jumping, at everything like they were in game two, right?
They were disciplined.
They were much more disciplined. So when you're closing out to Kevin Love, you're not flying by him and giving him that little pump fake three that they did twice in game two. So even like Caleb Martin, he had
uh,
8 straight points at one point, but you got to close that under control. And if they hit the shot over you, then it is what it is at that point. And even though Miami's been a team of destiny so far and hitting all these crazy shots, and to your point, Gabe Vincent, I think he hit more threes in the first two games than Porter Jr., KCP, and Jokic combined. That was a crazy stat that I saw the other
come
day.
on.
So,
That's absurd,
when
man.
Denver plays at their best and they don't make stupid mistakes, they should win every game by 10 to 15 points. But playing against Miami in a one-game setting every game, anything can happen, right? It's very chaotic. So they just have to play disciplined basketball, and this should be over in 5.
The Miami Heat had 3 players in double digits scoring yesterday in game 3. Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo. I obviously don't need to question that. Who do you think was the third player?
It wasn't Lowry, that's for sure. Definitely wasn't Robinson. It wasn't Struess. Caleb Martin?
Yes.
No, there
10
you go.
points. How wild is that? Oh my god.
Yeah, I
Oh,
mean, Denver did a great
I
job in
love
guarding
it.
the perimeter. And I think that, again, like going back to the whole Gabe Vincent thing, like him having the 3 fouls in the first half was huge. Because he's one of those guys that can actually like take guys, not off the dribble, but he can actually run a functional pick and roll. And he's a really big threat off the pick from Bam because he's been shooting like the greatest point guard in the history of the NBA the last
Yep.
couple rounds. So that was big, obviously. And one thing that hasn't been talked about yet is if Lowry's even going to play next game because he had that really, big scare at the end of the game where he did the splits because they didn't wipe the floor properly. So hopefully he's all right. His hamstrings are okay for game 3.
Nah, he's
Sorry, game
good, man.
4. But yeah, that did not look good.
Lowry's fine. Oh, maybe not fine, but he's gonna play. He's a warrior, man.
I
It's the
hope so.
finals. Why wouldn't he play? Come on. You think he's that hurt that he can't get on the floor and
He's
draw a charge or two?
he's lucky he didn't tear something on that one. Oof.
Yeah, it wasn't not great. Did you notice that Michael Porter Jr. only played 21 minutes in game 3?
Yes, that was very noticeable because their defense was so much better in the second half with him off the floor.
Yep.
And
Locked in.
no, for sure. And there's been a lot of talk about, Porter Jr. potentially guarding Jimmy Butler, which I endorse, honestly. Like when Gordon's not on the floor, you might as
Yeah.
well have Porter on the ball so he can't screw up all those split cut actions off the ball and get lost on defense. If you keep him on the ball, you can't screw up and, have guys go backdoor on him.
T-
Or
to be honest, Jimmy Butler hasn't had anyone that long covering him in the playoffs either, right? In the first series,
well,
he didn't have Giannis covering him.
Tatum.
He would have had Chris Middleton against Milwaukee.
No.
Middleton and Holiday, shorter guys, shorter ish. New York, whatever, wash of a series. I'm not paying any attention to that. And then in Boston, who was covering him? Marcus Smart, Grant Williams,
Yeah, I mean,
Jalen Brown from time to time.
honestly, like Tatum did by far the best job. Same body type as Michael Porter
Yeah,
Jr. And
but he wasn't the primary assignment on him.
he should have been though. Same
Yeah,
with
well, talk to
Giannis
Coach Joe.
for the Bucks too. Like when they put Giannis on Butler a couple of years ago, they swept them because they couldn't do anything. They just
Yeah,
kept going to the screen, and Giannis is long enough to contest anyway. So
yeah.
yeah,
Anyways, so my point is, yesterday I remember at least 2 possessions. Obviously, it's a very small sample size where Michael Porter Jr. was switched on to Butler, and he held his own. Dude is 6'10", and he's got long ass arms. Butler hasn't had to deal with that type of length before, and considering that half his buckets come from inside the paint or that 10-foot range, long arms go a long way, man. That's all I'm saying. It's not a bad idea.
no, for sure. And the best shots that he got in the first half were going against smaller guys. Like he kept getting the switches early in the clock against Murray and KCP. And the biggest thing that Denver did in the second half is if they did switch that, they were often like pushing him out beforehand. So, and Jimmy Butler takes a long time to get into his actions too. He's not a
Yeah.
guy that just gets to switch and then goes. He just
No,
gets
he
to
chills.
switch and then chill a little bit and dribble the ball, back down a little bit, then run pick and roll, and that takes like another 10, 15 seconds. So they really get Miami down on the clock which is what Miami was doing to them the previous game. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they adjust the next game and functionally get better shots. I'm not really sure what would you do?
Well, as a Nuggets fan, I wouldn't do a damn thing differently. But I mean, what can you do? You just have to. I don't know. I really don't know. You just have to try to get these guys open. But if Denver's defense is locked in, if you have basically if you don't have KCP and Bruce Brown committing stupid fouls like they did in Game 2, I mean, it's really hard to beat this team.
Yeah, Brown.
As simple as that sounds, right?
Brown committed one in the first quarter. I'm like, oh god, here we go again.
That same. I thought it was just going downhill. Yeah. I thought it was going to be awful.
Yeah, that was hard to watch.
And same thing with KCP. In Game 2, KCP committed 2 fouls on 3-point shots. And they weren't even close. They were clear fouls, not ticky-tack calls or someone baited him into it. No, dude just committed bad fouls.
Yeah, so the one against Strus was one of the worst fouls in NBA history. He's trying to just chuck up a shot so it could hit the rim with one on the clock from 35 feet, and he's still fouling.
Yeah, he was at the logo.
Yeah.
Another one was a Kyle Lowry one where he jumped into his legs. Kyle Lowry was 3 or 4 feet from behind the line.
Yeah.
Low shot clock situation. Come on, man.
And at first, watching that in real time, I'm like, there's no way he fouled him. Lowry kicked out his legs, Reggie Miller style, and then you watch the replay. It's like, all right, I guess that was the first legit foul, or Lowry actually looked like he's going to flop, so.
That's just Kyle Lowry's shot. He always, when some guys, when they shoot, they just go straight up, and some guys go forward. Paul Pierce always went forward by 2 feet. Kyle Lowry's the same way. He never just goes straight up.
Yeah, but because Lowry's a grifter, you assume that he was kicking out his legs, which that time he didn't. So, props to him.
Oh, grifter. I like it. Also, big shout outs to Christian Brown for this incredible game. That was hype. That was fun. He basically blew the doors open for the Denver defense, and then they just never looked back at that point after that. So, 4-year veteran out of Kansas. Dude's 22 years old, unlike a lot of these other rookies who are coming out at 19 or 20. But he's played all 4 years, and for a team that's supposed to be a competitor, a finalist competitor, good drafting decision, picking a guy who's actually ready for the game or ready for the league rather than someone who you have to build around.
No, for sure, and I'm sure they didn't expect this for him to be actually playing multiple minutes in the NBA Finals. But in 2 out of the 3 games, he's been really good, and he's cutting into areas where Miami's defense is susceptible, right? So he's getting into the middle of the lane when Jokic is on the right side or left side of the floor, and he's getting to spots where you just catch the ball and finish. He doesn't really have to do too much. But the 2 plays that really stood out was he ran a pick and roll with Jokic, and most of the time he's going to run the pick and roll where Jokic picks for him and he passes the ball back to him. And then Jokic will isolate. And on one play, he picked for him. And then, he saw that Bam was not going to leave Jokic. He went all the way to the rim and got a layup. So I think it's little things like that. He's gaining more confidence over the course of the season. And now in the finals, he's taking those little things and doing big things right now. And then obviously in the fourth quarter, on that fast break, you thought he was just going to, take it out and run a play. And instead he saw Jimmy Butler in front of him. He's like, I'm going to go right at him. And he bodied him and finished that play in midair, and you thought it'd be an and one, but he still finished the play. And after that, you're like, all right, this game is over.
Wow. What a swing factor, man. Christian Brown. 15 points, 19 minutes, 7 of 8 shooting. Woo! And an N1 in there. My God.
And honestly, we've gone this entire podcast and we haven't talked about the guy who put up 30, 20, and 10. So I think we need
Hold on. The last thing I want to say about Christian Brown, the only miss he had was a 3-point shot from the corner where he hit the side of the rim or side of the backboard and never shot again. Just kept going to the rim after that.
Smart man.
Just saying. Very good. Very good. What do you want to talk about, Josh? 32, 21, and 10, 12 and 21 shooting, 7 of 8 from the line. Well, what's there to say? He's really good. He's a very good basketball player, and I don't think he wants any of the attention. I think he would rather us talk about all his teammates.
No, for sure.
You know what I mean? I think this is very indicative of what he would have wanted this whole time.
100%. But I think by the end of the series, nobody's talking about this yet, but I think people are going to be talking about, is this the greatest finals performance of all time? And I think it's going to be compared. You're making that face right now, but he's averaging 33, 13, and 9 on 60, 45, and 85. It's absurd. I think the only guy that really compares is like Duncan in 2003, I think, against the Nets, where he
Yeah,
averaged like almost it's just insane numbers. It was like what 26, like 18 and like 8 blocks or something stupid. But
yeah.
yeah, I mean like he's putting up absurd numbers and he's a literal cheat code on offense. Like he does literally everything and all of this like whenever he has the ball, you just feel like 2 points are going on the board at least.
Just 2 points though,
At least 2 points.
not a three, not a three. Let me see. I've pulled up your Tim Duncan from 2003 lines. We're looking at 24.2 points, 17 rebounds, and 5.3 assists,
How many blocks?
with 5.3 blocks
Yeah.
and 1 steal,
I remember
shooting
he had
50%
the
from the field.
quadruple double game, right? Or was it 9 blocks in that game?
It was 8 blocks that game.
Okay.
It was close to a quadruple double.
Yeah. So he was
Fun,
just
fun trivia.
dominant right there.
Jason Kidd is fun trivia. Jason Kidd is the only other player to have averaged a triple double in the finals.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Was it the finals or was it a playoff run?
No, I don't think it was the finals. I think he had him the
full
first
playoff
game.
run. No, full playoff run.
Okay.
He didn't make it to the finals, but I think it was like 06 with New Jersey where he made it like 2 rounds or something, 2 or 3 rounds.
Yeah, because I
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
seeing that Jokic was the first player since Jason Kidd to have a triple double in his first finals game. So
Yeah,
that's a little bit of trivia there for you.
yeah.
Um,
So overall, Nikola Jokic very good at basketball.
yes, he's the ultimate safety valve. You know, whenever he gets the ball, it's like something great is going to happen, no matter what. Doesn't matter what you do
And his
against him, he's
touch,
going to figure out a way.
yeah, his touch is like stupidly nice around the rim.
He's
Everything just drops in casually. There's no like, yeah. Even if you think it's like a weird ass angle or if he hits the side of the rim, somehow it just drops in. It's wonderful to watch.
absolutely,
Like,
and he's unquestionably the greatest player in the game right now. And he
oh,
might have been for the last couple of years too, honestly. Like if his team was healthy, this might have been, a potential back to back. You never know.
speaking of a healthy team, you saw at the end of Game 3 where Monte Morris is just chilling there for some reason, and all the guys said, "What's up to him?" Last year we had a backcourt for Nikola Jokic of Monte Morris and Facundo Campazzo. Just
Yeah.
think about that.
And his
Yeah.
second option was Will Barton, I believe. So
Well, it was Aaron Gordon, but
mm,
yeah.
either way, not great.
Yeah, so think about that upgrade from Monte Morris and Campazzo to Jamal Murray and KCP.
Pretty
Michael Porter
solid.
Jr. instead of Will Barton. Wonder why he's having such a better year.
Yeah, and again, like Denver's doing all this without Michael Porter Jr. right now. So imagine if he shows up in game 4 and actually plays well. I think it's going to be a blowout.
I don't know. I think Miami gets Game 4.
No, no.
I think they squeak it out.
I said
Okay.
Denver in 5 before the series started, and I'm sticking with it. I don't think they're going to win game 4.
I mean, I would like it to be 5 because that would be just sweet to see. But I don't know. There's something about Miami, man. I think Coach Spoke pulls something out of his hat.
They're
Maybe
cockroaches.
he plays Udonis Haslam.
I mean, he did play at the end of the game, and I like how Jamal Murray just gave him the shot at the end of the game too. He's like, "All right, OG, you get your points," and
Yeah,
Haslam
respect your
missed.
elders, man. Don't talk about that part.
Yeah.
Come on now. It's. Would you rather see Udonis Haslam or Reggie Jackson on the floor, who actually played yesterday?
Yeah, that was weird. He came in for like
Yep.
3 minutes, and they're like, "All right, you didn't
It
really
was a
do much,
minute.
so you're gone. Back to
1
the
minute.
bench."
1 minute for Reggie Jackson, 0 for 1 from the field. With 1 rebound and 1 assist, though. So
Yeah,
it's cool.
very productive. His per 36 stats are crazy.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but sure. Oh, man. So, you still think Denver in 5?
Yeah, I still think Denver's going to win in 5. In terms of adjustments Miami can make, Gabe Vincent playing more because he's not in foul trouble, that's a pretty big adjustment, I guess.
Yep.
Like the actions that they're getting most of the points off of, besides Jimmy Butler running the baseline and hoping that Denver makes a mistake, is when they run shooters around Bam and they play the 2-man game with Bam at the top of the key. But in this game, it wasn't very effective because honestly, like Jokic was really good on defense this game. He was able to not only come out to the perimeter but recover on Bam and get a tighter contest or push him out a bit more because Miami's pick and rolls were just not as effective overall in getting him in the pocket. And Bam was 7 out of 21. yesterday I said the law of average is going to hit him, and they definitely did. He still had a really good game overall. I think,
Still 22 and 17.
yeah, he put up numbers, and it's hard to
Got to the line a lot.
no, for sure. Like he was a lot more aggressive, which is great for Miami because they
Yep.
just need points in general.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, it's hard to play 40 plus minutes guarding a guy who's 280 pounds and can move the way Jokic does, and then having to score on the other end as much as he's going to have to. It's a lot of work.
Especially considering Jokic is not only taller, but like significantly taller than Bam and significantly larger just in general.
And he moves around the court a lot too. So not only are you just
Yeah.
guarding this guy in the post, where like Jokic is not really getting the ball in the post that much because Bam is fronting a lot, right? But then he moves around the perimeter, he comes around screens. It's just a lot of work. It's just a lot of cardio. It's a lot of banging. It's a lot of
It
everything.
is.
Like it's the hardest matchup in the league right now.
It is. It's actually absurd how much Jokic can move off screens. It doesn't really make sense considering his size and like just like that type of body on the floor. Like you don't see that type of person moving around often, right? Like someone that size, usually see Perkins, maybe a pick and roll from time to time, but like usually just like chilling in the low block. This
No,
guy
for
is
sure.
pure cheat code,
For sure.
pure cheat
But yeah, I
code.
mean, Miami, they have to mix up their coverages more against Jamal Murray. I'm not sure how they're going to do that because every single option that they choose, they lose because once Jokic gets the ball, it's over regardless. And if Murray gets that hot, then they're going to lose. So I'm not really sure what you do in that scenario. Like they were trapping a lot. I don't think they need to trap to half court like they did a couple times. They caused a couple turnovers in that scenario. But when Murray actually brings Bam all the way out and then he's able to get Jokic the ball anywhere, whether that's like 25 feet away from the basket where Jokic has a 4-on-3 or at the free throw line, whatever it is, you're just going to lose in that scenario. So they got to figure out something else.
All right, moving on. I mean, we had some weird conflicting reports today. Chris Haynes out of NBA on TNT Bleacher Report announced that the Suns are going to be waiving Chris Paul. Like 10 minutes later, Shams and Woj both stated that he's not going to be waived just yet. The Suns are still sort of deliberating, seeing what their best options are. You could like waive and stretch him. You could try to trade the guy before June 28th when he's guaranteed his money. Uh, all that, including a little tidbit that I think went a little like under the radar, but there were trade talks for Chris Paul this past year, including with DeAndre Ayton. Just throwing it out there. The Suns and DeAndre Ayton have had a contentious relationship, to say the least, and it continues. So, Josh, your favorite point guard ever, Chris Paul, might be on his way out of Phoenix.
Yeah, it's certainly looking that way. It seemed like Haynes wanted to get ahead of the news, so he posted something that was not completely confirmed yet because Chris Paul's camp is trying to figure out the path forward, I guess, before the June 28th cutoff date, where his contract gets guaranteed for 30 plus million. And, it's right now it's just partially guaranteed for 15. Or again, they can either waive him or waive and stretch him. But the draft is before that, right? So the draft, I believe, is about 12 days before that date or around that mark. So that's when you would think that if they're going to make a move involving Aiton, that would be the move, right? And the Suns are not a team that likes draft picks. Maybe that's going to change now that they have a new owner. But it's going to be hard to see what type of team is going to trade for a guy like Aiton, given the current situation with him in that, he's got a contract, I guess, and his value is not the highest. And they obviously want to trade. Everyone knows around the league that they want to trade him, so they have no leverage there. But in terms of Chris Paul, I still think he has like a year or two left. And he's going to want to go to a contending team, you would think. The team that I want to see him on is the Spurs. I want to see him go to the Spurs, and I want to see him be the guy that gets Wembanyama the ball as much as possible. Like they need a point guard that knows how to play and gets Wembanyama, the ball in spots where he can, easily get points instead of having to isolate every single play and play on a team where he's the number one guy all the time. So, the more that they can get him moving around the floor and get easy looks with a point guard that knows what he's doing, I think would be great. So I mean, if not them, as much as I do hate them, I wouldn't mind seeing them on the Lakers either.
The Lakers one, I've heard about that rumor, but it's kind of weird. I mean, Chris Paul, like a ball dominant point guard along with LeBron, is just the combination has never worked for LeBron. I'm just saying, they're friends. I know they're boys and whatever, but like I don't know. The combination just hasn't piqued my interest.
I think it could work though, because LeBron's always wanted ball handlers around him to take the pressure off him, especially in the regular season where he can rest a little bit. And Chris Paul's a guy that gets injured a lot, so maybe that's not the best combination. But in the playoffs, as you know, you need as many ball handlers as you can to alleviate a lot of the pressure that falls on the main guys. And I think Chris Paul could help there for sure. And ultimately, I think he's going to get like a smaller type of contract because he's already been making at least 15 million from the wave or the wave and stretch, you would think.
Yeah, true.
So he's going to be making a very small amount of money, and I think that's why he's going to end up going to a team, even maybe Milwaukee too. Like Milwaukee might end up losing Middleton potentially. So maybe they go the Chris Paul route. They've been rumored, to be trading for him in the past. So maybe that's an option there. But either way, he's going to end up on a contending team.
And then Javon Carter must be so pissed if Chris Paul would go there. Has to play behind him again. I would be so livid.
I never even thought of that. It's a good point.
Yeah.
It's a good point.
All right, let's hit me with some stats corner real quick.
All right, so I'll give you two things this week since Raj is not here to destroy you as usual.
Come on now.
So Heat wing Caleb Martin scored 135 points on 60% shooting in the series against Boston. Only 6 players have scored more points on 60% shooting in a conference finals in the last 40 years. Let's see how many you can get on, we'll go with 10 guesses.
Whatever. Shaq.
Yep, that's one.
Duncan.
No.
Oh, weird. Jokic?
Nope.
Well, this is going awful.
There's one active player, and the rest are
Dwight?
either retired or still playing somewhere else.
Dwight?
Yes, that gave it away, huh?
No, I had it before. I mean, you're just looking for bigs who dunk a lot, right? Or get to the rim a lot for the most part.
I'll give you another hint. There's one guard and there's one forward in here.
How many more? I need 4 more?
Yes, 4 more, and there's actually 2 forwards.
1 active.
1 active.
Is Kawhi in this?
Nope.
Oh. DeAndre Jordan? Did they ever make it that far? To the conference finals? No.
He didn't score that many points either.
Sorry, what was the points? What do I need?
135 points on 60% plus.
Okay. Dirk?
Nope.
KG?
I think you have 3 more guesses.
This is rough. Oh, wait, I'm going back to the 90s, right? Or like late? 40 years?
All right, I'll give you a couple hints. There's one player from the 90s, one from the 80s, one current player, and one player that retired, I think, 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay. Let's go with... Well, you said one from the 80s? Kareem.
There you
How
go.
silly of me. Hakeem? Olajuwon in this?
Surprisingly, no.
Oh.
So you have 2 forwards and 1 guard left.
1 guard. Jordan never shot that efficiently.
Nope.
Who the hell would the guard be? Active?
No, he's the one that retired 4 or 5 years ago.
Dwayne Wade?
There you go. Heat culture.
06. This guy just foul
so.
baiting. Okay. So 2 more forwards, right?
2 more forwards. 1 is active. 1 should be very, very obvious.
Am I frozen here? What is this?
All right, point forward.
Am I... LeBron. What the hell is wrong with me? Jesus. Okay. Yeah, another forward.
And the other forward got arrested recently. His career went way downhill in the late 90s because he ate too much and did a lot of drugs.
Shawn Kemp?
There you go.
Wow, what a beast! 60%. Holy. The Rain Man. Okay. Wow, Shawn Kemp
good.
Got fat.
Very quickly.
Mm-hmm. While still in the league.
All right, and the last one's going to be very difficult. We'll see if you can get 2. Most wins by an 8 seed in a single postseason. So Miami this year has the most wins by an 8 seed at 13. So who else can you name?
The 99 Knicks. Do they count?
They do. They had 12.
So they had 12, and then... Hey, what other 8 seeds have gone deep into the playoffs? They're the only 2 that make the finals, right? So we're looking at conference finals at this point.
Not necessarily conference finals, no.
Oh,
none of these teams actually made the conference
so the
finals based on
semis?
the number of wins that they have.
So we're looking
So,
at like 7 wins tops, right? At least
yep,
one round.
yep,
The Nuggets? Or the 94, 95
correct,
Nuggets? Whatever year that was?
correct. 6 wins.
Boom! Yo, I got that one much faster than name off single players. Come on, man.
I'm surprised, honestly.
Why? Yo, the 8 seed coverage has been so overblown. There's
It's
been a
true.
lot
It's
of
true.
talk about 8 seeds doing... Like, it's obviously incredible to see what Miami's done, and you obviously want to pay homage to, like, the previous teams, but it's being peppered into your brain at this point, man. If you don't
It
think
is
of the
true.
99 Knicks immediately with, like, talking about an 8 seed that got to the finals, what are you doing with basketball trivia?
I will be shocked if you get the next 2, though. The next 2 are pretty difficult. They're from 2011 and
Oh,
2012, if
shit.
that helps.
Uh,
One team tanked their way into the 8 seed in order to play an older team,
play an older team? Is it someone
that they
playing
matched up well against.
Brooklyn against Brooklyn?
Nope. Western Conference.
Whoa. OKC? No.
Nope.
I have no idea, man. 8 seed in 2011?
The Grindhouse.
Ooh, oh,
Memphis
Memphis?
Grizzlies. They beat the Spurs in the first round.
Huh. Okay. And
And
2012?
then, yeah, and then that was 2011. Then 2012 is an Eastern Conference team. If you remember this,
Chicago.
the team that,
Was that Nasty Nate's
no,
team?
no, it
Damn.
was a team that played against Chicago because Derrick
Atlanta.
Rose got injured. Nope.
What?
Remember Derrick Rose blew out his knee?
Oh, Philly. Oh, sad
There you
stuff.
go.
Sad stuff.
Also, 7 wins.
I think Drew Holiday was on that team. That was before the process all began.
You are correct.
Sad, sad.
Spencer Hawes, too.
We don't need to talk about Spencer Hawes here. All right, good stuff, man. I'm pretty happy with that trivia, stats corner, whatever you want
Thank
to
you.
call it today.
Thank you.
But good stuff, man. For a 2-person pod, this wasn't bad.
Yeah, Raj would have completed those about
No,
20
he
minutes
wouldn't.
ago.
Raj knowing anything before 2020 is not a thing.
Yeah, you're probably right.
You like that, eh? 2020, as if he wasn't following the NBA before that.
No comment.
Yeah. All right. I want to thank.
Next question.
Is that it? We're done here? I killed
Yeah,
off
we're
your
done.
trivia. I want to thank everyone for listening. Please remember to rate and subscribe. You can find us on iTunes, on Spotify. You can leave those 5-star reviews, those good comments. We're on all the socials. I'm talking TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube Shorts. New little feature here. And until next time, peace.